Welcome to the very first episode of Becoming Black Scholarly podcast, a space, a movement, and an ecosystem designed for Black scholars, non-traditional students, and anyone navigating the long road towards advanced education with identity, culture, and purpose at its center. I'm your host, Fred, and today we're going to start at the beginning. Before we talk about doctoral journeys, writing rooms, identity frameworks, or the reality of becoming a scholar, we need to answer one foundational question. What is becoming Black Scholarly? This episode is the origin story, the why, the mission, the values, the ecosystem we're building together. Becoming Black Scholarly didn't start as a podcast. It started as a feeling, a tension between ambition and belonging. It started as a question I kept asking myself during my own academic journey. Where do Black scholars go to feel seen, supported, and understood while becoming who they're meant to be? Not after the degrees, not after the dissertation, not after the accolades, but during the becoming. The earliest seed was the idea of a monthly writing and research room for Black doctoral and master's students in Charlotte, a space where Black scholars could write without the pressures of a coffee shop or the isolation of home, a space where community wasn't an afterthought, it was the point. From that seed came the realization, this isn't just a writing room. This is a network, a community, a culture. And that's when the name arrived, Becoming Black Scholarly. This is where the story gets personal. I didn't grow up imagining myself as a scholar. I didn't grow up seeing doctoral degrees on the wall. I didn't grow up with a roadmap for higher education. My journey was non-traditional, working third shift, balancing life, navigating responsibilities, and choosing to pursue education with intention. There were moments I questioned whether I belonged in academic spaces, moments where I felt like I was catching up, moments where I felt like I was the only one trying to figure it out in real time. But there were also moments of clarity, moments where I realized I'm not just earning degrees, I'm becoming someone. That realization is the heartbeat of this ecosystem. Let's tap into my origin story a little bit more. So, like most people my age, I graduated from high school about 26 years ago. Over the next 26 years, there was a number of different obstacles that I faced that hindered my academic journey. I do have to take responsibility for some of them being my own because I was overambitious at times and allow other people and things to get in the way. But then there was the fire that my family suffered my first year of college. There was also the marriage that stood in the way of my academic progress, as well as a couple other relationships that were very abusive and toxic and made it impossible to finish my degree. Then there was times when I was injured and sick and couldn't attend school the way I wanted to. But when I left Milwaukee in 2023 and came down to Charlotte, I took a job that I wasn't entirely happy with. On the outside, it looked like it was going to be the pinnacle of my career. But on the inside, I realized that it just wasn't in the fire for that position, for that work wasn't in me anymore. So in leaving that job, I knew that in order for me to get back to the income level I was at when I left Milwaukee, I needed to go back and get my degree. So I applied to University of Phoenix, and at the time of acceptance, I thought that it was going to take about 3 to 4 years for me to finish my degree, considering how many classes I had failed and how many classes I still needed in order to graduate. But upon credit evaluation, it came back that I was going to be done in about 2 years. After the first year, I was awarded an Associate of Arts in Business Fundamentals. And after the second year, which I just completed this past May, I received my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. Now I'm waiting for a conferral process to be completed so that I can begin my Master's of Arts in Education, Adult Education, and Training. From there, I plan to go on to pursue my doctoral degree, looking at a doctorate of management and organizational leadership. And that's where a lot of this began, in exploring what I want to do next. I was working with AI a lot in preparing for 2026, and I started asking questions or creating a bunch of prompts that helped me figure out that the work that I'm currently doing would help shape my dissertation in the future. So that's where we are, and that's how Becoming Black Scholarly really began to be built out.
Stay connected by following us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Becoming Black Scholarly.
Every movement begins with a problem. For Black scholars, the problem is not ability, it's not intelligence, it's not ambition. The problem is access, the problem is belonging, and the problem is identity-centered support. Too many Black scholars navigate doctoral preparation alone. And that's pretty much the area that I'm in. Like I said, with those AI prompts, I began to realize that a lot of the work that I'm doing can be shaped and used for my doctoral studies. So we're going to dive more into that as this podcast go on. Too many feel like they have to translate themselves to be understood. Too many believe they should already know how to write, research, and become scholarly. A lot of the research is already in your life, depending on what it is that you're looking to study. Sometimes you just need help tapping into that. And that's where, for me, AI came into place. Using ChatGPT and Copilot, I realized that a lot of the things that I'm already doing is shaping my doctoral path. Becoming Black Scholarly exists because the current system wasn't built with us in mind. At the heart of Becoming Black Scholarly is a mission that's simple but powerful. To create identity-centered, culturally grounded spaces that support Black scholars through the entire journey of becoming, academically, personally, and communally. That mission rests on 5 core values. We honor who we are, where we come from, and the cultural lineage we carry. Belonging. We build spaces where Black scholars don't have to translate themselves to be understood. Community. Scholarship is not a solo sport. We rise together. Liberation. Education should expand your freedom, not shrink your identity. Excellence. Not perfection, but intentional, disciplined growth. These values shape every part of the ecosystem, from the podcast to the writing rooms to the curriculum. Becoming a Black scholar is emotional work. It's the fear of not being scholarly enough. It's the loneliness of studying at 2 a.m. It's the pressures to perform. It's the internal conflict between ambition and identity. But it's also the joy of discovery, the pride of growth, the quiet confidence that builds over time. This is the part of the journey academia rarely talks about, but we will. The Black scholarship is not just academic, it is cultural, historical, and liberation.
The conversation continues on Substack. Check out the collection of essays, reflections, and much more at becomingblackscholarly.substack.com.
Scholarship has always been a form of resistance, a way of reclaiming narrative, knowledge, and power. When we pursue education, we're not just earning degrees, we're carrying forward a lineage of thinkers, builders, and visionaries. Let's talk about the components of Becoming Black Scholarly. Currently, we have the podcast, the anchor of the ecosystem, a space of identity, reflection, and real talk about scholarly work. Then there's the identity framework, a 12-episode arc helping listeners evaluate readiness for doctoral and master's work. And then we have the Substack newsletter, a collection of essays, reflections, and resources for scholars in the becoming phase. Future components include the Writing Room, which will launch it here in Charlotte, a monthly writing and research space for Black master's and doctoral studies. We plan for a scholarship fund. So this fund will financially support Black doctoral students funded by the ecosystem. We'll host community events like writing retreats, research intensives, and identity-centered workshops. We're building a curriculum and courses, a pre-doctoral curriculum for non-traditional scholars preparing for advanced studies. Then there's the Digital Community Hub, a private online space for connection, accountability, and support. The ecosystem is designed to grow with the community, not ahead of it. Let's imagine the future together. Imagine walking into a writing room filled with Black scholars. Laptops are open, ideas are flowing, and community is alive. Imagine a digital hub where scholars connect across cities and countries. Imagine, if you will, a scholarship fund that removes financial barriers for research. Imagine a curriculum that prepares Black scholars for master's and doctoral work with identity at the center. This is the future that we're building. Let's dive into a guided reflection real quick. I want you to take a moment and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, who are you becoming? What do you believe about your capacity? What story are you rewriting? What does scholarship mean to you? This is your becoming. This podcast is not a monologue, it's a community. I want to hear your beginning story. Send me a voice note, send me a message, share your journey. Your voice will shape future episodes. In the next episode, we'll dive into the first pillar of the identity framework. Who are you becoming as a scholar? We'll talk about identity, motivation, and the internal work required before you ever fill out an application or write a personal statement. And as we close, I want you to repeat this affirmation after me. I am becoming. I am capable. I am worthy of scholarly spaces. My identity is not a barrier, it is a foundation. I am becoming Black scholarly. Until next time, tap into the Substack newsletter and get more affirmations as well as reflective prompts. I'm your host, Fred, and this is Becoming Black Scholarly.